Hello, everyone, and welcome to our last day of the CIPS International Student Week celebrations. My name is Nicola Robinson, and I am CIPS Group Head of Membership. In today's webinar, we will be hosting a panel discussion with some of our CIPS members who have volunteered as part of our CIPS volunteer community for some time. You will hear about their story and how you can tap into the CIPS volunteer community and get support and encouragement as you study. We'd really like the session today to be as interactive as possible, and we're here to help with questions that you have. So please feel free to submit any questions you have for our panelists into the Q&A box. And also make use of the chat facility to network with other attendees. The session will be recorded and we'll make it available from next week for you all. So I'm absolutely delighted that today we will be joined by Jennifer, Harry and Jason, all of whom have lots of experience of being a CIPS volunteer. So today they're going to share their experiences of volunteering and offer advice on how you can tap into the powerful professional network that is out there ready to support you and help you to reach your career development goals. So I'm absolutely delighted. Thank you so much and welcome, Harry, Jennifer and Jason.
Thank you.
So,
Hello.
hi.
Hi.
So fantastic. So welcome to you all. So why don't we kick things off today with what made you become a CIPS volunteer? Jason, would you like to start?
Yeah, good afternoon, morning, everybody, depending on where you are. Well, when I started my career, I was a student as well, and I understand the student mindset and the journey from getting to the end of your journey effectively in your career. So I really just want to make it easier for students, give them an opportunity to talk to the right people, and in that way, get them to where they want to be. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jason. So Jennifer, how about yourself? Can you tell us a bit about why did you become a CIPS volunteer?
Okay, greetings to everybody. One of the reasons why I volunteered is, when it comes to volunteering, there are two things that are needed: passion and positivity. And then, passion is that drive that keeps you moving, and positivity is, always looking for solutions, focusing on achieving, and not taking into consideration difficulties or challenges. So one of the things that made me volunteer was because of my passion for the profession. And I wanted to be an ambassador for the CIPS brand so that I could continue to offer my professional and academic experience, to guide younger people and just to mentor them to become professional. And then secondly, it's also, I just understood that when you volunteer for CIPS, it's also a great way to get more involved with your professional community. You get in touch with your local branch, through which you make new friends, you expand your network, and you just boost your social skills. And of course, you improve your knowledge and experience. So these are some of the reasons why I decided to volunteer for CIPS.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Jennifer. Harry, how about you?
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all who is joining in. Welcome to procurement, and be proud to be in procurement, and always say I'm proud to be a procurement professional. So that's the first thing I would love to say. Volunteering came automatically, or I would say rather naturally, because I personally believe that there are a lot of people out there in the world. I would not restrict to a particular region, but there are people out there in the world who definitely want to understand the real essence of being a procurement professional. It's not simply about RFQs or tenders, but it's about creating a new world and enjoying working with people, enjoying working with their own passion, helping them create a better awareness, trying to give them the confidence, losing among people, between people. I think those are some of the things which I love to do, and I believe that is the starting point of being a volunteer.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Harry. So I think, Jennifer, you mentioned a couple of things around getting support as a student or as a studying member through the community and through networking with people in the professional community and also becoming a volunteer. So knowing what you know now about the level of local available support for students just starting out on their learning journey, as many on the today will be, what would your advice be to them?
Thank you, Nicole. First and foremost, I would want to encourage all students listening or who have joined us this day that the sky is not the limit. They shouldn't give up. They should believe and be confident about their future. You know, sometimes it's not easy, but they should not be discouraged nor give up. They should just be focused and be determined to attain higher heights in their professional career. And then one of the things I want to tell students is that they should avail themselves to be groomed and mentored by seasoned professionals. You know, in your local community, you can identify some procurement specialists and just get in touch with them so that they could coach you. Another thing I want to advise students is that they should cultivate a desirable habit of research and continuous learning. You know, this will help improve their knowledge and experiences. So as students, we should always try to learn, read, and just add value to ourselves. And then finally, students should also try and be engaged with branch activities. You know, as I said, there's always the opportunities when you are in the midst of professionals and new people and all that. You expand your network and you also expand your professional network in terms of your career path. So students should try as much as possible to be attending branch events and any other events organized by their local community. Yeah.
That's great. And Harry, how about you? So knowing what you know now about the level of support available for students through the branches, what would your advice be?
A couple of advices. One is all of you listening in, don't be very tough on yourself. Procurement is quite easy. I mean, there are challenges, but then the CIPS community is big enough. There are something or the other happening around you always. So there are quite a bit virtual webinars. There are a lot of branches, branch networks. There are the CIPS offices. So when you get into these kind of branches and webinars, yes, we do focus a lot on the content that is being displayed, but at the same time, try also get into improving your networks with the mentors, with the people out there, trying to talk to people. It's quite important that you be generous to yourself, start wishing people and start talking to people. Often people get into their own silos, but always believe the world doesn't care for you, you just care for the world. So go out there, talk to people, make yourself available. I'm sure that everybody out there is trying to help you out. It's only a question of you making a step out. And knowing the CIPS community with so many years, I can very well assure you, each and every CIPS professional out there is willing to take 3 or 4 steps for you, provided you take a step. So get to the CIPS website. You will find a branch or a networking event happening around you. And my advice is just get along and go out and meet people and know, listen, and get into them. That would be my advice, Nicola.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Harry. And that's a really good point. So obviously we'll go into a little bit more detail later because I'm sure there'll be some questions about how people find out about what's going on in their local area. And certainly, Harry, you've mentioned the CIPS website, so we'll talk about that again a little later. Jason, I'm just wondering, you're obviously based in South Africa, so do you want to give a little bit of information about what specific sort of activities, branches in your region have been organising for students, and also how students find out about those in your region in particular?
Yeah, so for us, quite important is our branch meetings. We try to have it every quarter. It is well publicized, or we have a Facebook page, and then we also have a LinkedIn page where we try and advertise to our region, all the events that's happening. And that allows the students a good networking opportunity. However, more closer to home, the students also have access to the executive or the regional executive team of CIPS, the local committee, where we do arrange Q&A sessions with them. So if students have questions or particular issues that they would like to raise, we would arrange a Q&A session. It could be informal, half an hour, and we invite as many students as possible, and we effectively try and help them and steer them into the right direction. So those are the main activities that we follow on this side.
That's fantastic, and I'm conscious with where we are in the world at the moment. There's been a huge move for the CIPS volunteers over the last few months towards virtual networking. So I think that's given us a great opportunity to open up those networking opportunities to a wide audience. But I think there's still that local support networks, and like a few of you have mentioned, through the branches LinkedIn groups or Facebook for some particular branches. So yeah, that's a really good point. So I think, yeah, a couple of people have mentioned around, how do you find out about your local branch? So there is under the membership area of the CIPS website, there is a networking page, which on that shows you branches, and you can search for a branch in your region. And any branch that has a group or a social media network, the link to that group is on their branch page. So we'll talk a bit more about that later, though. So I'm keen to hear, actually, Harry, you mentioned this a little bit already, but as a student, did you have the benefit of being part of a professional network? And what was the one thing that you got out of that you really celebrate?
Again, good question, Nicola, actually. Students do go out and meet people. That's the first thing usually students do. And then they get a bit of disappointment if they don't get the right feedback. So again, mentorship is talked about in a lot among students, but it's important to know that the most educated or the most awarded person may not be the right mentor always. So knowing first and foremost what exactly you need and which stage you are in and what you need to do. So try to get, even if it could be a CIPS friend, it could be a professional friend. Advantage for me was getting the right type of people on the right levels. I mean, the ability to talk freely, the ability to understand. The most important thing is that you need to accept whomever you're talking to, like a mentor. So you need to accept a mentor. The mentor needs to accept you as a person. And then you share your knowledge, you share where you want to go in, and more importantly, what you want to do in the next 1 year, what you want to do in the next 2 years, understanding it, taking it in phases. So there are certain things that you need to staggerly schedule it out. So I was very fortunate enough to have quite a bit amount of mentors. And this was about 15, 20 years back, where we had struggling for people to be in touch with people. And today you have community across everywhere, and you have so many social medias, from WhatsApp to LinkedIn to Facebook, as Jason mentioned. I mean, we have a lot of channels. If you come back and say that you are not able to touch anybody, then there's something definitely wrong. I think you should go out. Don't at all feel, don't underestimate yourself. Get there out, talk to people. You will definitely get a feedback. And you have a big CIPS community out there waiting to help you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Harry. So in a moment or so, we'll start having a look at some of the questions that have been coming in. I've got the Q&A to my right, and there's some good questions coming in, so we'll move to those in a moment. But just before, I'd just like to know in a few words, what do you get out of volunteering? What does it mean to you? So Jennifer, do you want to give us a bit of an idea of what do you get out of volunteering? What does it mean to you?
Yes, thank you once again for the question. I actually have been volunteering for over 9 years now. And one of the things that excites me the most in volunteering is that I get the opportunity to give back to the profession. and that's very great for me. And also through volunteering, I have been able to improve upon my social skills. I used to be kind of shy and all that, but as I volunteer, the more I meet people, the more I talk to people, I come out of that my shell, and I'm able to improve also on my relational and communication skills. And then finally, volunteering, what I've gotten out of it is also the opportunity to be part of a bigger team, and it makes me feel valued, especially when we are celebrating volunteers weeks and all that, when your name is mentioned, of how maybe your contributions have been recognized, it just makes you feel good about yourself. And I think that these are things that motivate me to do more for CIPS. Yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. And before we move on to the Q&A, Jason, have you got a couple of words of what do you get out of volunteering? What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I think for me it's, and I think for all of us, I think we all strive to be best in class, or at least strive to be best in class within our career or profession. So for me, it's a good opportunity to gain an understanding of the local expertise and try and benchmark, not even local, but all the expertise that are within our grouping, and gain some sort of benchmark against it. So, I like to rate myself against the professional landscape. So for me, it's really a benchmarking opportunity. And then also, if there are gaps, it allows me to plan on how to close it. So, we all continue to learn. So for me, it's a good experience from that perspective.
That's great. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to have a quick look at some of the questions. I know we've got the team in the background who are answering some of them as we go along. But I think there's a couple of questions that are coming along around how do I get involved with volunteering? So, I mean, the easiest thing to do, I'll say, and if anyone has anything to add, is if you're interested in volunteering, do get in touch with the branch. On the CIPS website, on the branch page, is the contact email address for the branch chair or for the branch committee. So just get in touch. If you're not sure whether there's a branch, or if you get in touch and you haven't heard anything, which is quite unusual, but if you have, then we have a team email address, which is branchevents@cips.org, and you'll find that on the branch pages as well. So that's for our CIPS team who look after all of our branches and all our branch volunteers. So if you get really stuck, you can email us and we'll point you towards if there is a volunteer community. There's another couple of questions that are coming in around how much time commitment does it involve? I don't know if any of you want to just to give an answer. Anyone got any comments on that? If you want to.
Yeah, if I can answer that. For me, it depends. There are periods where it could take maybe an hour every second day or a bit more. When it comes to organizing branch meetings and Q&A sessions, it's a little bit more, but it's not that intrusive at all into my normal working day at all. So it's quite easy to plan.
Great. And Jennifer or Harry, anything around sort of how much time? I know, Jennifer, I don't know whether you've got some comments on from a branch and a Congress perspective.
Yes, in fact, just like Jason said, it depends on how you plan. It's all about planning. And when you're passionate about something, you would make time for it. So, but I must be honest that some little sacrifices too are needed. Maybe you'd have to stay a bit late after work just to have meetings with people, or just to, communicate or network across. So it is, I'm not going to say it is difficult, but you just need to plan and also make some little sacrifices. I mean, but what I said, in volunteering, two things are needed: passion and positivity. Once you have these two, you could just make time to be able to volunteer in whatever activity that you want to. So it's fine.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I suppose there's a couple of things that just came to mind for me there, which were the volunteering and getting involved. Obviously, it comes down to how much time you've got available usually. So the more you put in, the more you'll get out, as with many things in life. But I think today is one is about, you can volunteer and get involved and get actively involved, but also just to try and reinforce to everyone that there are communities that are led by CIPS volunteers around the world that are there, to get involved with. So today isn't all about stepping up and volunteering, because that might not be right for you right now, but it's also so that that those communities are around for you. So yeah. Harry, I don't know if you've got any comments that you'd like to mention.
No, a couple of things actually. We procurement professionals need to be speaking well to our stakeholders. So the art of speaking to people, that's the biggest part. So even if at some stage you feel that you're not able to officially volunteer for CIPS, I would still say be proud to volunteer for procurement. You have people around you, even if you have 5 or 10 people, make a group, at least have the initiative of making small presentations, having small group discussions, talk about procurement, share your experiences, have the ability to go out in front and talk to those 10 people. Someday you may have to talk in front of 100 people. So you can always start. You don't have to really wait for any formal recognitions. But having said that, be assured that your ability to volunteer in small groups will always give you that passion, and that success which comes in the first few stages will always give you that kick to do more and more for the profession. And that's where the real spirit of professionalism comes in. So don't stop yourself. You can always do your little bit along the community of procurement professionals around you.
That's fantastic, thank you. So I'm just having another quick look to see if we've got any other questions that we can cover. So I think we've covered a little bit about the sorts of events that have been run, but I've seen there's a couple of questions coming in around what sort of events are we talking about, and what sort of networking activities happen within the local community. So I'm sure, I think, Jason, you mentioned a few in terms of the sort of student support and the type of activities you run, but I don't know, Jennifer or Harry or Jason, if you've got anything else to just let people know about what sort of events can they expect, or what sorts of things are people planning at the moment?
Yeah, but for COVID, one of the things that we were looking at for students was educational tours. That was an activity where we take students to maybe manufacturing organizations for them to get hands-on practical knowledge on whatever is going on there. So one of the things we used to do was educational tours, but because of the COVID, that has been on hold. But however, there are virtual, CPD events that we hold. There are revision classes. I think just before the November exams, the Ghana office organized a number of weekly webinars revision webinar classes for the different levels of students. And I think that we had a good number of students participating in that activity, and roundtable discussions, seminars, conferences, not to mention but a few. Yeah.
Great. And Harry, I know you've been involved in quite a lot of events over the last few months, in particular with us moving to the virtual. Are there any examples that that have been put together by your region at all?
Yeah, just conscious of the time, so I'll give you a quick update. I mean, we normally divide the webinars or the events into 3 classifications. One is specifically for the MSIPs and FSIPs, basically looking at managers and above, looking more at specialization about subjects. And then we do also separate sessions, webinars, which are basically for starting students, where we talk about the typical technological words like categories and let's say procurements, tenders, and RFQs, which is we're just trying to dilute it at the students' level to understand it better. And the third and the most important thing is every 3 to 4 weeks, we do have the volunteers or the professionals who are joining to come out and speak. So this is something we are trying to encourage. So we do have 4 to 5 speakers in one round table every 3 to 4 weeks, giving opportunities for them to come out, maybe speak for 1 minute, speak 2 minutes, speak 5 minutes. So we do have different type of speaking sessions, 1 minute session, 2 minute session, 10-minute session. So it's basically to bring out not only about the knowledge level, but also the ability to sell yourself with the people and stakeholders.
That's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, as you said, Harry, the time is just running away with us today. So thank you all so much for those comments. I think just a couple of things that I was thinking as you were talking is there is, quite a solid program of events and slightly different types of events that different branches run. But I'd also say, we'd always love to hear from you as our valued studying members on what would work for you. So I think that's one thing maybe to point out, that the branches, you may want to get involved with the branches actively, or you may get engaged in events that our branch volunteers are running. But actually, you might have some ideas and some suggestions of event types or topics or things that would be really valuable to you as a student. And certainly, we'd love to hear about that, because we can encourage the branches to focus on those types of events. So yeah, so it's been an absolute delight to talk with the three of you today. I just want to extend my huge thanks, not just to yourselves, but to all of our CIPS volunteers who do such a huge amount of fantastic work to support that energetic and vibrant community of procurement professionals that we have around the world. So thank you so much, Jennifer and Harry and Jason, for your time today and for joining us and sharing a little bit about your volunteering journey and why it means so much to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Always.
And thank you to everyone on the call for joining us today. If you want to watch the recording of today's webinar, it will be made available next week for you. So you'll be able to again and so if you did decide to rejoin CIPS, or want to rejoin CIPS if you've not been a member for a long period of time, you are able to use the rejoining voucher code that we've made available, which is valid up to the end of December. And we've also made available a code for if you're someone on the call who's not been a member before, this has given you the nudge or the motivation you needed to join and to start your studying journey. Then for new members, we also have an offer available to waive the joining fee for new members. So those are available to our international students, and we will make sure that those are emailed to you following the webinar. We hope you've enjoyed this week. We have absolutely loved celebrating International Students' Day with you. I also just wanted to say, since it's the last webinar of the week, a special thank you to our CIPS teams who've been working behind the scenes all week, and obviously in preparation. So thanks, team, you've done a great job. And again, most importantly, to all of you who've taken some time this week to really commit a little bit of time to your own professional development and your studying journey. I'd like to wish you the absolute best of luck to all of you on your studying journey towards MCIPS Chartered, and look forward to welcoming you into our MCIPS Chartered community, hopefully in the future. Thanks again, take care, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.